Here we are at the March On series of Love Speaks. Today I am going to feature a powerful, inspirational woman that settled in Toronto from her native land. So here's the poem. There is a voice that sings your song, opens your veins to blood. There is a voice who is not you, gives you words you never had, invites you to the allegory of the cave, in whose tales you are a myth, shatters your pettiness and makes you whole. There is a voice that claims you, abyss and wings and all. There is a voice that is yours. When you cross your borders, there is a voice. Take yourself out of its way. Let it sing through you. Let it make you a song. There is a voice. Okay, so this is the woman here who created this beautiful poem. She is in Toronto, like I said, and when she immigrated to Canada in 2010, she was 40 and she had spent 2 decades in her native town of Babol, Iran. And she taught at university level English. So when she came here, she was actually quite fluent in English, had a substantial job resume. And so she came here, you know, well equipped. She also read 13 books by Margaret Atwood to get a lay of the land because, as she says, nothing portrays a culture better than poets and artists. So that's what she did, and it was so successful to help her get a lay of the land here in Canada that when she arrived, she had this thought, wow, this looks familiar. So it was a great way to start her beginnings here. And that being said, she was unemployed for 2.5 years because, you know, you have to start from scratch when you come here. And her teacher's ability meant nothing here. She needed to get certified in English as a second language, and that's what she does. She teaches now. And she needed to get Canadian job experience, so she volunteered at public schools in Toronto. Yeah, she was also completely overwhelmed by the loneliness that just slammed her in the face of leaving her family behind, her homeland, and she found it wasn't easy to make friends. It was very difficult to make friends here. So she turned to her writing, to her poetry, and she found solace letting the voice use her and heal her. And so she's written 3 books. One of them is called Songs of the Exile. And, you know, being exiled from a land, it can be self-exile like it is for her. For others, you know, you were forced out by the government. That being said, her government is, for her, a dangerous situation. And so she couldn't even go home when her father died. So she wrote another book called Letters to My Father. The thing about Banoo Zan is she didn't let this emotional bleeding go on and on. She took really good care of herself. She reached out to the literary community in Toronto, and so she was able to start making connections. And eventually she did realize, though, that the literary scene was not diverse. So she created a poet night, you know, where you can go and read your poems and do your songs. She calls it Toronto's most diverse and brave poetry and open mic series. The name of the place that she opened up is called Shab-e She'r, and it literally means in Farsi, poetry night. So she's really passionate to share the immigrant experience with mainstream Canada, because she says, you know, mainstream culture in Canada have no idea what it feels like to be an immigrant. And so her poetry night that she began really bridges the gap between different cultures and invites a sense of oneness. And I loved her poem because it talks about that voice in all of us, that once we get out of its way, we can hear our truth, hear others' truth, and experience oneness in listening and hearing this truth. So my call to action for today is, how can you find solace in your suffering, whatever that might be, whether it's loneliness or isolation for yourself, or whether it's chaos of some sort. Maybe there's too many people in the house. Maybe you need some solitude. So whether it's nature or whether it's writing, poetry, sharing with another person, reaching out. You know, before I did this Facebook Live, I spent time with a group that I'm a part of, sending intentions to each other and receiving intention. And I'm glad I did that, even though I felt a time crunch, because I knew I needed to prepare for this. I'm glad I reached out to the group, because I received a sense of power that stayed with me, even when little interruptions came up, and I was able to realize that Love Speaks is all about the voice. It's the voice that I let move through me. And so it is for each of us. And how does that show up for you? So, ciao for now, and I'll see you next Monday at 12:30.